Hey everyone, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Diabloherald. I've got a new webcam, so you can see me better. You can see my lovely face. This is a podcast where we talk about all things relating to Diablo and regional issues as they affect us here in Australia and New Zealand. Today I have with me, as always, Highlander. How you going?
Very well, guys. How you doing?
Good, good. ZiggyD, how you going, Ziggy?
G'day, good, thanks, Swagger.
That's good. And Chet, our cameraless friend from New Zealand. So you're just going to have to look at the bald-headed Picard for him.
Good God.
Yeah, so we got some things to talk about today. The patch came out, so we're going to talk about some of the things that happened with that. And there was a thread on the Diablo forums complaining about the patch, so we're going to talk about that. And
there was a thread, yeah.
Yeah, oh, there many threads, but I just chose one. Yeah, so that's pretty much, we're pretty much just talking about the patch this episode. So I'll just jump straight into it. So I'm just going to go through the patch notes. So the first one is they changed the areas in Act 1 for New Tristram to stop people from being able to kite mobs into the town. So it says they put portals between, what is it, both ends of the bridge from New Tristram to the Weeping Hollow, which is, was that just after the bit where you kill Hadrig's wife? Is that bit?
Yeah, just when you head outside, and there's usually a little event there where some things charge the bridge that you kill off. That event's just been removed from the game now, which is a bit sad, I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't look as cool. You don't get to cross the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. So yeah, that was that one. What else is there?
Can we get these up on screen? Is that possible?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I do have them here. Yep. Here we go. So that's the general one. Battle.net. They did some changes to the social tab. So just friends sorting alphabetically in the friends list, first by real ID, then battle tag. Quick join menus now alphabetical as well. What else?
It's good to see them making incremental, slow progression towards a good chat system. We will get there.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it basically just looked prettier. I don't know. Obviously, there's...
Oh, the sorting actually helps, like everyone. I find it helps.
Yeah, I suppose if you've got a lot of friends...
Let me get this right, though. They alphabetically sort the friends list, but they take out the alphabetical ordering in the auction house. What's going on there? I decided it's good for one section of the game, but not good for the other section. Have you seen the new grouping in the auction house now? I don't think that's in the patch notes at all.
No,
but they've grouped stats for the auction house now instead of having alphabetical, so all of your things like dexterity, vitality, and all that are grouped together in one group, and different crowd control effects are grouped together and stuff like that. You know, that all seems fancy and nice, but it's much easier to just search by alphabetical ordering.
I disagree. It's just what you're used to. Yeah, like, I mean, you're used to alphabetical, so that's why you've got the problem.
So you think it's an improvement in the long run once we get used to it?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, like, for people, there's, you know, like, you can't group the cool kids with the non-cool kids. It doesn't actually have that data just yet.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm looking for life on hit, and I'm just like, go to L.
I'll give you life on hit and group me with the other life on hit.
So do you mean like a preferred? You'd like to be able to select a preferred friends list? Is that what you're saying, Highlander?
Well, that wasn't what I was saying, but I would like that.
Okay.
No, it does need some ability to just customize stuff. Like, I mean, I have quite a few friends, and well, I mean, people who are on the friends list who don't really cut it as actual friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a bit it's a bit of a headache, but anyways, that's fine. And we, no, I could go on all day.
Right.
We've got a long way to go.
Yep.
But, we'll get there.
Yep, we're into like the second thing. Anyway, cool. So what else with the Battle.net changes? Looks like there's some bug fixes. Using the who command in a heavily populated chat channel should no longer cause the client to crash. I've never used the /who command. What does that do? Do you guys know? /who?
Gives a list of whoever's in the chat in that chat channel at the time.
Right.
But yeah, apparently it just was straight up not working and killing people's client.
Yep.
I do recall hearing that.
Okay.
But I didn't try it myself. I don't feel like crashing my client, but...
Yep.
I haven't tried it because I don't care who's in any channels.
That too. That too.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't have tried it either way.
Yeah, I haven't really, joined any channels or anything.
I
Cool.
do like the it remembers your position now, so it's not auto joining us back into general chat anymore.
Yep. Yep.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
I'm not spamming random auction house items into the general chat now. Just trying to check out their stats like I do.
But I think it's something that you actually do care who's actually in the chat. Like I shouldn't say that I don't care because like when I play StarCraft, I want to know who's in the chat all the time. I'm in like multiple channels and with different little communities that I'm a part of, and I want to see. I don't know why we don't have that functionality.
Yeah, chat windows would be nice, like StarCraft.
Yep.
Yeah, like a consistent system across Battle.net 2.0.
Yeah, I thought, wasn't that the whole point? Wasn't that the whole idea behind the whole thing? No? Here's a good one. The character screen should always display the correct act and quest information. That always confused the hell out of me. When you switch characters and go from your alt to your Inferno character and you're like, why am I in Act 2 normal? No, it's wrong. Have you guys noticed that? No? No one noticed that one?
All my guys are in normal at the moment, so...
I noticed it lots of times, and it really annoyed me and freaked me out. Well, that's been fixed anyway. What else? Real ID has been disabled for Battle.net account. Attempting to add a Real ID friend in Diablo 3 will now prompt the player with the following error message. Battle.net is unable to add friends because you have Real ID disabled. Oh, I didn't know you could actually disable Real ID. Cool. It's interesting.
So it's just like a privacy option, I guess.
Yeah, right. Well, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I didn't
you
know
don't
that
want anyone who's got your email address to just be able to add you, or Alright, let's get into the class changes. So I think, we talked about a lot of this before, didn't we, in the last podcast? But we'll go over it anyway. So first is the Barbarian, the ignore pain skill. There's been a change for that. For the rune Contempt for Weakness, the amount of damage reflected will now cap at the player's maximum life. I don't have a Barbarian, so I don't know what kind of effect this would have. I don't think any of us has a high-level Barbarian, so that's not very helpful.
It does seem logical, though.
Yep.
Yeah. So it just means you can't be overkilled, but you can still be killed in one shot. I don't really see how it makes a difference.
I don't know.
Oh, is that before damage resistances, perhaps?
The amount of damage reflected now, capping maximum player's life. Oh, that's an interesting sound.
That's my phone being charged.
Do you, Chet, do you know how this works? I know you've got the most experience in Inferno.
I think it's just another fix for possible exploits. A lot of people using the was it energy armor with the wizard.
Yep.
So you can't just be under-geared and just reflect all the damage back at the monster and kill them and not have any DPS.
I see. Right. So okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So it looks like there's a few changes that sort of stop that kind of exploit from happening.
Yep. Cool. Next one is for Overpower. For the Crushing Advance rune, the amount of damage reflected will now cap at maximum player's life, so it's a similar type of thing. Tooltip has been changed. Weapon Throw, that looks like another tooltip. 1.
Mm.
Passive skill Relentless now reduces fury cost of all skills by 75 down from 100%. So we talked about this in the last one too. Basically, yeah, obviously can be abused if it's used in a certain way. So they've just changed it to 75, which is still pretty useful, obviously. Demon Hunter, active skills Cluster Arrow. So let's see, that's just a tool chip
That's
by the
just
looks of
tooltip
it.
change,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another
Yeah,
tool
just tooltips, yeah.
tip.
Same with grenade.
Yep. Caltrops. Effect will now only stack up to 10 times on a single target. Jagged spikes.
It's very hard to exceed that amount anyway. What happens is sometimes they can be stepping on 2 at the same time, and then you can stack up your caltrops on top of each other as well.
Right.
So I think you'd have to have 5 and then for the perfectly positioned to hit 10 times on one mob. So I guess it's stopping some sort of potential exploit with really certain specific gearing, but it's still effective to stack your caltrops, so it's not having a too much of a negative effect on normal play.
Yep. Cool.
I'll just pipe in there as a Demon Hunter.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a bit of a build I'm looking at using, that's also. I was looking at that one earlier.
Okay. Elemental Arrow Nether Tentacles will now only hit each
This is probably
target once. Sorry,
this
go
is
ahead.
probably the biggest one. Yeah, the biggest one, because a lot of the DPS glass cannon builds were using this pretty much exclusively, and it was the must-have skill for most Demon Hunters in Inferno. But on the
Now it's
on
the
the flip
must
side,
not have skill.
yeah, like people are that it's kind of like reminds me of StarCraft 2 nerfs, where even if it doesn't make too much difference to the actual usefulness of the skill, it's people are still turned off using it and will go try other things and that sort of thing. It has a mental effect.
Yeah.
Whereas it's probably still pretty good, but it's nowhere near as good as it was. But, people are moving either to lightning, that's lightning or in for elemental arrow, or trying new builds completely, which is pretty interesting. Seeing lots of new builds crop up.
Yep.
So that's really good.
Yeah. Well, so far, as far as I am with my Demon Hunter, which is only like level 45 or whatever, the lightning ball one seems the most effective, but I haven't got the nether tentacles yet. So yeah. What I'm wondering is, does the lightning balls hit more than once on each?
They do, but they split damage between each mob, whereas the tentacles would do 100% damage to each thing they hit, even when they hit it multiple times.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's not that division of damage going on as with the lightning rune.
Cool.
So lightning rune's still good because you can clear out a lot of mobs that way, but yeah, it does divide the damage up.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's still got the same issue with all the crits as well. If you have the passive that allows you to have a 3% chance to crit every 3 seconds.
Yep.
So which means if you don't hit anything for 30 seconds, then you are going to have a guaranteed crit on your next one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't reset until a second after you've hit. And because stuff like is flying through the air so slowly, you were able to get like stacks of crits before.
Yeah.
With nether tentacles.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that was like, it wasn't just like one. Like that's why like all these builds have changed so much, because it wasn't just one skill. It's like 4 skills as part of the combat.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Cool. Onto the monk. Monks can now use 2-handed axes, 2-handed maces, and 2-handed swords. That's interesting.
You're gonna get some 2-handers, Fuego?
Probably not. Probably. I don't know. Unless someone finds an awesome build using 2-handers, but I think the builds I'm looking at the moment pretty much rely on like crit chance and on hit effects, on crit hit effects. So the more attacks, the better, pretty much. So the faster weapons is pretty much what I'm going to be going for.
Still, it just meant that they were pretty much barb-only weapons up until now.
Yep.
Which is kind of sad.
Yeah. Cool. So active skills, Serenity, Instant Karma. The amount of damage reflected will now cap at the player's maximum life. So again, another potential exploit, I guess, that they're putting a cap on. 7-sided strike. It's a tooltip change.
I think for those ones, it was it was really just coming back to that shirking death things as well. Like you could take so much damage, and you would just like one hit kill
Yep.
the things that will attack you in Inferno.
Just be a baneling, baneling in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it encourages the type of play that they don't want people doing, that sort of gambling play where you could get one shot or you could, not die, if you know what I mean.
Because, you could totally use that and not have any equipment on. You'll have no repair costs. You just run in naked, get hit by something and explode at them.
Yep.
Naked attack.
Yep. Cool. Mantra of Retribution. Damage will now cap based on the maximum life of the target. Okay. Let's have a look at Mantra of Retribution. I should know this stuff, but...
It sounds similar to the other ones.
Yeah, but... Increase maximum life of the target. Cool. I don't see the maximum life of the target. How's that going to make a difference if your damage is capped at that? That just means that you can't more than one-shot them, right?
It's the same thing as the other ones.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Retribution. Never mind. Let's keep going. Bug fixes. Near-death experience. Fatal damage absorbed by Serenity will no longer trigger near-death experience. Well, that's good, because I don't know if you guys knew what was happening with that, but yeah, basically the Serenity shield, if you had it activated and you took enough damage to die, your near-death experience would be procced, therefore using up that, that heal, or, that stopping you from dying thing, even though you wouldn't have died anyway because you had the shield. So yeah, that was a pretty annoying bug. It's good that they fixed that. Now, Witch Doctor.
Nothing, just a tooltip change.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wizard.
No Witch Doctor love yet.
Diamond Skin. So on the Mirror Skin rune, the amount of damage reflected will now cap the amount of damage absorbed. So that's another reflect damage cap. Magic Weapon. Oh, they've added a buff icon to it, which is
that's good.
Meteor now deals damage as arcane instead of fire. That's just one of the runes. So I don't know why they're doing this. I guess it's certain types of elites resist certain types of damage. Is that correct? Like an arcane elite will have arcane resistance. I'm pretty sure.
They used to, but they removed that.
They removed it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the point of this change? I don't understand.
Yeah, so...
It stacks better with it stacks better with Arcane Torrent now, because it's arcane damage, and Arcane Torrent one has a rune that makes mobs take extra arcane damage if it's been used, so you can fire off a meteor, and as it's about to land you can start hitting things with Arcane Torrent, and that'll increase the amount of damage, so that opens up a new synergy there, but I can't imagine they changed it for that reason.
Yeah.
But maybe they did. That's the only thing I can think of. So that seems like you can put out some serious damage now with Arcane Torrent and Meteor.
Yeah.
Interesting new build potential.
Yeah. Who knows? Cool. Passive skills paralysis, that's just a tooltip. And a bug fix on Magic Weapon. Display issue. That's right. It was showing like double the amount of damage instead of the right amount. So on your damage figure was more than it should have been showing on your character page. So that's fixed now. Okay, next section is on items. So the first thing, of course, is the attack speed. Values have been dropped by 50%. So let's talk about the effect this had. Highlander, you obviously, aren't that far into it. Have you got attack speed gear?
I've been steering away from it for a while, so if I found it, yeah, fine, but I wouldn't buy something with IAS.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it didn't really affect me much.
Yep.
But apparently, there were nerds all around the world drowning in their own tears, following this.
Okay. Ziggy, did you have a big drop in DPS?
No, as Pat said, I've been avoiding it too. Just we've had heaps of notice of it coming up, and I wasn't that set into a build that I couldn't just avoid it in the lead up to it.
Yeah.
But it's had a pretty big impact on the auction house and things like that, obviously. And as Pat was saying, lots of tears going on. Lots of people pretty annoyed about it.
Yep.
I think Chet was stacking a lot of attacks, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's why I left him till last.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big damage hit in the character screen, but that wasn't really the point of stacking increased attack speed for my build. It was just movement and reducing the animation time. So, I mean, the amount of damage I did was the same. My character just feels a little bit more sluggish. So,
Yep.
my build it's still viable and it still works. I think it's made it so that getting a little bit of IAS just really does nothing for you, but if you've already got a whole lot of it, it's still reasonably useful.
Yep.
I'd say the biggest nerfs would have been probably melee characters that were relying on fast attacks and life on hit to tank,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then probably witch doctors and then demon hunters.
Yep.
Why do
I
you
don't
say
know.
witch doctors? Just for that build that you're using with where
It's their spells. They just seem to have a lot longer animations than, say, the witch, the wizard, or the demon hunter. If a mob's chasing you, you want to throw up like one of your CCs. It's so long it'll probably hit you. Whereas if you had a lot of attack speed, you could actually get it off and just keep moving.
Yep.
So yeah.
Are you using like a when you say for the being able to move quickly, are you talking about like kiting with the triple poison dart thing and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, stuff like that. Even if you wanted to throw up like Grasp for the Dead, which slows them by, I think it's 60% or 80% depending on your rune.
Yeah.
If you're moving and you stop to cast it, the animation's actually quite long, so things will catch up
Yep.
and hit you.
Yeah, he's got to like throw his hands up and like yell
Yeah.
that "Ah!" thing and all that stuff. Oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen it when you have 3 attacks per second, and then you see it when you have, 1 point something, it's a huge difference.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I know for a lot of bears builds, a lot of people have been saying that's just dead now because you just kind of need to be in the middle there, and you might need a proper spirit walk or something, and then just like spam and bug a load of bears. And it really wasn't like so much for the DPS, it was just really being able to get a few out while in those few seconds while you got all your CCs off and you're safe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't noticed a huge difference. I did have 2 rings with attack speed on them that I just bought from the vendor because that was, the best upgrade without spending millions on the auction house. And they went from 14% to 7%. And yeah, I haven't noticed a huge difference. My DPS has gone down, but I'm not like into Act 3 yet or anything, so I don't think I'm pushing the bar enough for it to really make a difference at this stage. But I think once I get further in, once I get some more, life on hit gear and some more crit chance, I'll probably notice a bigger difference. Well, I mean, I'll probably understand more the need for attack speed. So yeah, not too worried about it, but like I said, not too far into the game yet. So yeah, did anyone else have any other comments about the attack speed? Like what was the main complaint on the forums? Was there like something that stood out on the forums?
I think it was just I used to be able to do X and now I can't.
Yeah.
And this was a bigger deal at the higher levels because whilst a lot of people would say the nerf to Inferno generally, or Inferno post Act 1, should be offsetting your loss in attack speed. But if you were really good, then and didn't keep up with the news so much, you would have had a lot of IAS gear.
Yep.
So for those people especially, it would have been a bigger hit. And like, I get that and completely understand where they're coming from. In terms of, it's incredibly frustrating being up to Act 3 and then having to go down to Act 2.
Yep.
And you were at the highest difficulty point of the game and now you're not. But that being said, you've been there for a fortnight now, or like a month, at the most.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to, this game's going to be around a while. And they can't just buff every other stat to keep it match with IAS, and they shouldn't have one god stat. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there can't be one that's, way powerful than the rest. Yeah. Right.
I think this is also symptomatic of how many players that we have that don't actually come from WoW.
Yeah.
Whilst I don't come from WoW, having never really played WoW, it's, WoW players get used to the way Blizzard address stuff, and that is, they see stuff like this, they nerf it. And you can QQ all you like.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess we'll move on from there. Repair costs have been increased, as everyone knows. I haven't found this to be too much of an issue, but I think we'll talk about this when we talk about the thread from the Diablo forums, because that was a big part of that one. Let's see. Magic Fire will no longer be considered when looting objects in the environment, such as chests, barrels, vases, and pots and corpses. That we'll also talk about that when we talk about this thread later on.
Should we jump to the thread maybe, and then come back to this?
Yeah, let's jump to the thread.
Okay, sure. Why not? Cool. So basically, this was a thread on the Diablo forums. Wait, let me find my notes. Where is it? Right down the bottom. It was one of the top threads. The truth behind 1.0.3 hidden footprints. I'll just bring it up here. Basically,
let's go for the TLDR, I think.
yeah. So basically, this guy is sort of doing big conspiracy theory type stuff. Patch 1.0.3 equals damage control in the attempt to fix D3's economy and keep you playing. Nephilim Valor guaranteed rares equals smoke bomb, blinding you from the truth at the rate at which high-end level items drop has been nerfed to the point where the game is no longer rewarding or fun to play. So he's talking about like Acts 3 and 4 there. They nerfed drops from vases, pots, and dead adventurers to stop gold finding bots. The easy way, punish everyone and kill a cool part of Diablo. If you're farming Act 3 and 4 prior to the patch, you'll probably notice and either give up or give in, sorry. Now, if you were stuck in Acts 1 or 2 prior to the patch, you have no idea. This doesn't matter because you're the majority. So
no, this does matter because you are the majority.
Ah, sorry. Yeah.
But he's saying that the majority of people won't notice. So
yeah, right.
It looks good from the surface.
Yeah, right. So things seem better on the surface. You're more likely to continue playing. In other words, they've tried to make things seem better for the majority, which is stuck in Act 1 and 2. Whereas if you're in 3 and 4, then you're screwed, basically. So that's the TLDR of the thread. So I think I was actually going to get you to explain this, Highlander. What's your thoughts on this one?
Alright, I've been relying on what you're doing on stream, so if you can just stick on the
Oh,
TLDR
sorry.
just for my
Yep.
Yeah. Look, I read this and just this guy's obviously been playing the game very well. He's been playing it better than I have. He was obviously an Axe 3 and 4, so fair play to him. And like I said before, it must be incredibly frustrating to either have to go back to an early act, or like it's just as bad to be no longer incentivized to be in your current act.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of people, and I've been playing a bit of public games lately, where I'll be joining Act 1, and the people in Act 1 are just annihilating stuff compared to what they used to be 2 weeks ago, just on account of a lot of people see that as being a more efficient place to be. So there's Act 3 and 4 aren't getting the same love that they used to. Well, did we have a loss of connection?
Oh, sorry.
No?
I was just... Sorry, I was fiddling around with things.
Okay.
Keep going.
No, if you keep fiddling, I don't want to see that. Anyway, so yeah, for the large part, it's like I can totally get that would be very, very frustrating. But at the same rate, taking a big step back, we can tell you a tale of like April. Not that long ago, where everyone was super excited about what Inferno was going to be, and even going back to when they announced Inferno in the first instance, it was, this is what Inferno is going to be. You can go anywhere, and you can go to the place that you think is the most beautiful in Sanctuary, and you can farm that area.
Yep.
And that, can by itself be the most optimal thing.
Yep.
Then they said, okay, well, we want it to get a little bit harder because it felt like you just weren't doing anything. So they brought us back to the system where we're at, before this last patch.
Yep.
And it's just, now it's closer to being a case of what Inferno always wanted to be, or was always supposed to be.
Yep.
You're supposed to be that, you were wherever you wanted to be. And sure, now there's a lot of people that are in Acts 1 and 2, myself included, but give us a few months and everyone would be in Acts 3 and 4. There, under the old system, there was, once you were capable, there was absolutely no incentive to be in Acts 1 and 2 because you could not get the best gear in the game.
Yep.
It was just technically impossible. The other thing is just this totally Diablo core feature of you're able to get the best thing, the best item out of just about anything.
Yep.
And you didn't have that in Inferno before. If you were playing Acts 1 and 2, you were having a really hard time, but you couldn't actually get the best items in the game.
Yep.
And that really sucked. There wasn't even a small chance. Now, part of that also comes down to what he's complaining about, pots and stuff as well, like in being out of loot bases and dead adventurers and whatnot.
Yep.
And so he's made a complaint there as well. So he wants to be able to find, he knows that's a cool part of Diablo, being able to find good stuff out of bots and out of pots. But at the same rate, it's not looking at it the other side as well. You need to be able to find the best stuff anywhere, not just out of a pot, but off a champion pack in Act 1.
Yeah.
So, he does make a bit of a complaint that it's just done to stop gold mining bots, and that should be achieved with Warden, and not with killing a good part of Diablo, which is very true. It's a bummer that it's happened.
Yeah.
But you need to address gold miners with not just a stick, but with also removing a carrot if you can.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate, but I don't think they wanted to do it, but they obviously didn't see any other way. I don't think it means that they've stopped using water or something like that.
Yeah.
But look, at the end of the day, the rates have been admitted to be a little bit off, but this is they've said that Act 3 is too unprofitable to farm, and I get that. It's not the right level of risk reward.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair play on that front. But the basis of this patch, whilst the numbers may need tweaking, the basis I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I remember when Inferno was announced, and I was super excited because everyone should actually have their own most efficient area.
Yep.
And in Inferno, if everything's even, like if it could never actually happen perfectly, but it can come close. And if everything was perfectly even in terms of risk reward, then everyone should be able to play in their own party structure or their own class structure. If you're good in open areas, then you'll farm just open areas. Or if you're good in the prison area in Act 1 because you're a demon hunter, you can shoot through all the things, then that's the place that you farm.
Yep.
If you can stack a whole lot of holy damage, and then, if that does more damage to a particular type of thing, then you can stack a whole lot of holy damage and find that place that's most efficient for you. There's a whole world of options and abilities and scope there that you cut in half when you can only play, or cut in less than half when only Acts 3 and 4 work. So I think that the patch is great in that sense.
Yep.
And I understand how bloody frustrating it must be. But I think it's, we're going to be playing this game for years. I don't want to be playing it in just Acts 3 and 4 as a rule.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot still to happen, I suppose. And I guess the whole thing with the pots was really, I guess, a quick fix, because the fix has to happen now. Like the farming can't keep going on the way it is, I suppose.
Well, there shouldn't be risk-free farm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because is that the biggest contributor to the whole gold inflation?
I don't think so. I think it was just a contributor.
Yeah, right. So.
I mean, it's still inflating.
Yeah.
At least that's my impression from what I've experienced.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's cool to have that kind of thing, but for me, I don't really find it to be that much of a problem. It's just kind of odd, It's sort of like, it's an odd part of the game. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, so it's something classically Diablo.
Yeah, right.
It's absolutely fundamentally Diablo, that you break stuff, you loot all sorts of things, and something really, really, really good could drop from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, any compromise on that sucks.
Yeah.
But that's a very different issue from the eye level drops changing from Acts 1, 2, and versus 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, okay. Chet, so you were playing in Act 3 and 4 before the patch. Have you noticed a big change in the drops in Act 3 and 4?
Not really. I mean, I've had pretty poor drops for the last few weeks. I mean, I'm still using Act 1 items that I found.
Yeah.
But, that's what it is. It's just RNG, law of averages. You're going to get some good days and some bad days.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bashak said that they think it's too low, but I assume he means that the item level 63 items aren't dropping enough and there's no incentive to go there. It's not that they drop, but they just roll lower than they're supposed to.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So
which makes sense because of the way, you would be almost getting, or you'd be getting a lot of eye level 63s before, and they didn't make that clear. They didn't make it clear that would actually be nerfed to Act 3 drops. So that's a communication fail as well.
They didn't release the figures from before the patch of drop rates.
Well, they never have.
Yeah, they were estimated to be about 3 times what they were now, though, for eye level 63s.
Yeah,
based
so
on, crappy research.
I don't waste my time with Act 3 and 4 now. It's just not worth it.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Okay.
And then that's just as sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suppose, but from the other point of view, it seems like that's kind of how the game is meant to be. I mean, it seems like you're meant to farm areas that you're geared to farm in, and you're not really meant to be dying in areas that you're farming in. You're meant to be able to just go through and kill things, right? So that's what farming is. And you just go through, you kill all the monsters, and you take the loot and hopefully get something that's useful. Am I off the mark with that?
Well,
I think farming can be hard too. You can be farming things that are quite difficult if the reward's there.
Yep.
But if the reward's not there, then it's
not
just not
worth
going to happen,
doing.
which
Yeah.
I think is the problem.
Right. Okay.
and what they said in their post when they were explaining the decision was, we want you to have the option of ruffle stomping in Act 1 or struggling through Act 3. And
Yeah.
it should work about the same.
Yeah. Right. So you guys would all agree that it's not the same?
Well, I mean, Blizzard has said that it's not the same.
Yeah.
They've
right.
said that the risk reward isn't there in Act 3.
Yeah.
And like just from what I've seen, not just in community reactions, but like in community actions,
Mhm.
like I was saying with the public games, just in Act 1 now being filled with people that are so much better than they were before and like are really clearly able to just ruffle stomp everything. Yeah, it's the change is obviously there, and it's obviously changing behaviours.
Yep. So, do you think that the risk reward factor is not equal because people are still developing their skills and builds and stuff? Do you think that, like, say 6 months down the track, because people will generally have better gear and better idea on how to kill things, it's going to be easier in Act 3 and 4?
I don't think it would ever balance because the gap between Act 1 and 3 and 4 is so big. You could do Act 1 and actually sacrifice damage for MEF and still clear it much faster. And it's just a bigger zone. You can keep your 5 stack and you can just switch between all the waypoints and pick up so many elite monsters, where in 3 and 4, it's a lot harder to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, the drop rates would have to be so much higher for it to balance out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because losing, like, if you go to Act 4, it's almost useless. Like, if you're going to have a run that's going to last more than 40 minutes, then, yeah, there's no point being there because you're going to just waste time recollecting your 5 stacks again.
Yeah.
And a couple of interesting things I saw was just Act 2 even, when you look at the stats, it's actually it's not that much harder than Act 1.
Yeah.
But when you just look at the really annoying freaking attributes and abilities,
Yeah.
then it is. Like just all the leapers and burrowing everything.
Yeah.
And the tongue lasher things. It's just so much more annoying just in terms of the frequency of those sorts of mobs.
Yeah.
That, that again, it's, when the way they've done the numbers is based on the numbers of hit points and stuff, but people have to have unique builds just to be effective in Act 2 because of that crap.
Yep. It's a good point. Cool. So let's talk about the repair bills as well, because did he mention the repair bills in this thread?
Yeah, he mentioned it. He was talking about how he thought it would stabilise the gold price.
Yep.
Which he somehow seemed to make into a negative. I don't know how he put that up.
Yep.
But this is a Blizzard post after.
So we can't really confirm that the gold price is stabled or stabilised. Stabled? That's not a word.
Gold silver rates are down to around 3 per million now, so if that's any indication, that's a bit of a drop since last week, which they're at about 5.
Yep.
And I expect them to keep dropping.
Yep. Okay.
And that's been my experience. Everything I've been watching on the auction house is gold gold itself is dropping.
Yep.
Item values are dropping as well. So you've got relative to items, it's still dropping.
Yep. Yeah, well, I suppose you expect item values to drop with it being easier to farm high-level items.
Yeah.
The point of the repair increase is obviously to curb inflation, but it could even end up having the potential of doing the opposite of what Blizzard wants, which is to keep the real money auction house going and strong for longer into the future. But it could be causing a lot of people to just sort of give up, whereas they might have been just making progress before. So I was a fan of last week. I was a fan of the repair bill increase, but I'm wondering now whether it's just going to be people just, instead of gaining ground, losing ground and getting fed up and quitting the game. Cashing out of the real money auction house and then that causing inflation more, and then just killing and eventually killing the economy. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah,
So
who knows?
I've gone back to undecided about the repair bill, where I was pretty in favour of it before. Now I'm not so sure about how it's going to end up. I think the whole spirit of this patch, however, is just stripping out a lot more than a normal patch would in order to reintroduce it back into the game later on, like things like botting and damage control in the economy. I feel like this patch was a huge step, much more than any other patch I've ever seen come from Blizzard, like in terms of game changes. And I think they actually sort of expected everything that's going to happen, everything that has happened with it, and that they do plan on just slowly increasing things, like with the vase fixes and stuff like that. I don't think it's a permanent fix. I think that's just temporary. I think someone mentioned that earlier.
Said that as well, that they're continuing.
It is just temporary. Yeah, and I think that a lot of things in this patch are temporary, like the drop rate decrease in high levels. I think that's just temporary. They're going to increase it in the higher acts, and what do we got?
I mean, it's a little bit like Frankenstein, right? Like they've created this monster. They can't keep perfect track of it. They don't know what it's capable of. Like, we're a community of millions of people, and however many people we are, there's lots of us, and we're unpredictable.
Yeah.
So they don't know what's going to happen. People said, "What, you didn't test Inferno, or you didn't test the real money auction? The real money auction house or the auction houses?" Like, well, they can't on that scale. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
So, things are happening that I wouldn't say that they predicted.
Yeah.
Nothing's set in stone.
Yeah.
What's awesome is that they are still patching and they're still trying, and they haven't just left it. That's just fantastic, and it's very Blizzard.
Yep.
Yeah, I do think this is a big just them trying to retry a few things, like take them out and then slowly put them back in.
Yep. Right. Okay. Cool. Chet, your thoughts on the repair changes?
I don't know. I don't die that much, so I'm okay. But oh no, I guess it's pretty much just trying to stop people from diff zerging and forcing their way through content.
Yep. But
as well as the gold thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it hasn't I guess it contributes to the fact that you're playing in Act 1 now rather than 3 and 4. But it's
yeah. I mean, I've still got a healthy supply of cash. I'll still throw myself at Gom a few times, see if I can down them just for entertainment value. But yeah, I mean, for serious farming, Act 1, Act 2, 3 and 4 just to muck around because I'm bored of Act 1 at the moment.
Okay. Cool.
Well, to harp on just a little further, harp on a little more.
Okay.
ZiggyD actually made an interesting point there, just about whether this is going to keep people in the game or not, and it might remove some people from the game. But I think there was an interesting post where some people were saying, "Well, we were having fun. Why'd you kill the fun? With your customers, right? So don't you just want to make us happy?" And it makes sense, but Bashiok had the classic comment when it comes to sort of game design is that a game is built around limitations.
Yeah.
And if you think of chess without limitations, it's like, well, what's the objective of chess? It's to kill your opponent's king. All right, so if I'm playing with Brago, I'm going to punch you in the face, and then I'm going to shoot your king. Right? That would be the way without any restrictions, without limitations. Chess is built on the rules. A game, to be good, has to have these rules, these restrictions. So, the restriction that they're trying to work towards is, gameplay that's hard and challenging, where you don't just run in and die, because they think it can be more fun than that by adding more restrictions or more disincentives to play a certain way.
Yeah, I guess if you look at hardcore, the restriction of the fact that you can't die at all definitely makes the game a lot more fun. So I suppose having more of a punishment when you do die, I suppose that should work in the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and again, they're looking at the long term here. You know,
Yeah.
does it make games that are meant for the long term? That's why comparatively their graphics suck.
Yeah.
Because then they're not trying to make a Crisis.
Yeah.
They don't want it to be the peak because that will be dead in 6 months' time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing that I think people tend to forget is, you know, these changes are basically how it's going to be from now onwards, and anyone coming into the game now isn't going to know it any differently. So I think they tend to go, I liked how it was before, and I think that's just because they were used to it as it was before.
Yeah.
And they don't like the fact that it's changed because they've worked out this strategy, and now that the rules have changed, the strategy has to change, you know, and I think they just forget that. But for anyone new coming into the game, it's probably not going to really care that much. So they're just going to be like, oh, okay, that's how much it is, so I'm just going to try and not die, you know.
But we're not going to know either. Like, in 2 years from now, it's going to be, hey, you remember that month after release where you just ran into everything and died all the time?
Yeah, and it was like 4K after I had to repair all my gear.
Yeah, exactly. And then I seem to care about 4K, and it's like now I just, I'm running around with gazillions of dollars.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Should we have a look at some more of the changes in the patch?
Pull out a few important ones, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get another cold one. I'll be right back. But you keep going. I can listen.
Okay then.
Would you like me to direct your eyes to one, or you want to continue?
If you have some that you have in the back of your mind there that were important, then feel free to bring them to my attention.
In terms of bug fixes, because they could just be a mixture of not really that important and important ones. A pretty big one is the removal of life on kill healing from your own friendly creatures.
Yep, of course.
So like the Hydra summonings, and that was the main one, but it applied to a few other classes in small detail, but that's the main one. So now that the wizard builds using that as their main source of healing, so popping like diamond skin and then getting as much damage as they can, and then when they get hurt, just re-summoning Hydra over and over again. Obviously, it wasn't intended gameplay. That's been removed now, so that's taken quite a few wizards out of Act 3 and 4 Inferno.
Yeah, right.
It seems like because people were really relying on that healing, because it was really instant healing. Like you can cast Hydra really, really quickly.
Yep.
So you just cast 4 and fully healed.
Yep.
So that's pretty big fix there.
Yep. Cool. They added the what is it? I always forget all the important words when I need them. Enrage timer to Belial, which basically means I can't kill him anymore. Because my whole strategy was that.
Enrage, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, my whole strategy was just I could survive forever, and it took me ages to kill him, but I could survive forever fighting that guy. Now I just can't kill him because I can't survive anymore. So that sucks. They also
changed. Is a killer.
Yeah. So the big guy that everyone's talking about, Gom. Chet, can you explain the difference? Since I think you probably know the best.
Okay. Yeah. So. It says they reduced the radius of the glass cloud. I can't actually remember how big it was before, but he now actually shoots out 2. So one where he is and one at range.
Yep.
And they last a lot longer. Because before you could just easily kite him around and the gas wasn't a problem, and then he'd die, and that's not a problem. Right now, I haven't actually been able to get him down. Even if you kite and you try and get the clouds to stack as close as possible, and zigzag all the way around the map, I'll probably die, and about between 5 to 10 seconds later, the first cloud will disappear. So a lot of people get the impression that he's actually enraged from the beginning, and that the clouds aren't disappearing. They are. They just take a long time.
Yep.
So it just seems like Blizzard really wants you to get some sort of mitigation for the clouds. They don't want you to sort of go through without any.
Yep.
So he's actually probably easier if you can mitigate the cloud, so it's just a bigger gear check right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Some people are calling him the hardest in the game.
I think it's
Some
the
they may be
hardest
dumb
parts of their
people, but
builds.
just
Oh, okay.
that's even been called.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can do GOM, you could probably face tank Diablo, I would say. It's that light and day, it's crazy.
Yep. Interesting. Man, there are so many changes. I don't think we have time to really go through them all.
But look, generally speaking, with these, the fact that they've done more enraged timers on the bosses and that they're now getting new abilities or changes to those abilities are pretty cool.
Yep.
So I like that. And Zoltan Cool, I know, got a good buff as well. They're using his pull down the ceiling maneuver more often. So it's pretty impressive.
Right. Yeah. That was hammering me on my must have been Demon Hunter when I went through it. He was like, if I stood in it for more than a second, I was dead, basically.
Yeah,
and
he's a lot harder now.
And I never actually noticed him do that before, so I didn't even know that skill existed. So yeah, interesting. So Chet, was there any other changes that stood out for you besides the obvious, like, you know, reduced damage from monsters in all the acts?
No, not really. I didn't actually feel that big of a change in 1.0.3, to be honest.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I'd already finished the game. I've gone back to play with the bosses a bit to see their new abilities, but other than that, not too much.
Yep. Okay.
How does it feel like having felt like you finished the game, you've killed Inferno? What's that sort of end game like? Because that seems to be a pretty big problem for Diablo 3.
Yeah, to be honest, I'll admit, like, the honeymoon is over. It's now just sort of, it's at that point where I log in, I'll farm for a few hours and then wonder if I should be doing something else. And then I'll go back to farming. And, you know, it's kind of gotten to that point. I could do another class, but it's really frustrating to gear another class because, you know, there's so many different stats you can get on an item, but you only really want the same ones, you know, your primary, vitality, resistances, and then crit hit, crit damage. You know, it's very difficult to get the stats you want in an item, because I don't use the auction house because just out of, you know, pure scientific reasons, you know, see how far you can get without using the auction house. Just gearing a new character is really daunting right now.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm not sure. I might try play something else for a little bit between all the farming.
Blasphemous.
I say that
Like
I'm still on Diablo like 12 hours a day. So
you know what? I think that's pretty much like everyone on the forums. Like, oh, this game sucks. I'm gonna quit, and then they keep playing. They're at home playing the game.
it's like every Blizzard game, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good on it.
Highlander, were there any other like changes that stood out for you? Anything else you wanted to mention? Because
Just there's some good precedents in there. They've they've changed some things like there's a lot of pathing improvements.
yep.
And I like pathing improvements as a general rule. That's cool. I wasn't a StarCraft 1 fan in the same way.
Right.
So yeah, there's that. They've changed just like certain things that certain creatures would have. So the Molu, I think it is, in Act 4, now can't have fire chains and they can't have invulnerable minions and stuff. So the fact that they're willing to go and do that for specific types of creatures is good, because, you know, I like what they're saying about you should hit something and go, oh, that's hard.
Yep.
There are those things where it's just, oh, that's retarded.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing gives me some hope, because that sort of stuff I didn't expect, you know, that they would actually do those things that a lot of people asked for. You know, like I thought that they would only go so far and they wanted it to be completely random and all that kind of stuff, but they're actually willing to take people's suggestions and put the changes into the game and see how it goes. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see that kind of thing. So yes, Ziggy, was there anything that stood out for you, or anything else you wanted to mention about the patch?
just some final thoughts that, while I don't think this patch is particularly spectacular, it does sort of give me a lot of hope for the future, that there is a lot of changes that are going to make, sort of like what Pat was saying, that set a lot of precedent here. And I think a lot more changes in the future, many, many more months, and we could even have like a really good end game in Diablo 3 just through changes. So, yeah, it gives me a lot of hope for the future. I think there's a lot they can do, and I think there's a lot they will do.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Well, I think that's gonna be about it. I wish we could have talked about all the things that came in this new patch, but there's just so much. Like, yeah, I really should have. I should have gone through and picked out a bunch, but yeah. Anyway, next time.
Still good, bro.
It's such a big patch. So I guess we'll call it there. My name is Fuego, and this has been the Diablo Herald with Highlander, ZiggyD, and Chet. If you want to find us, you can find us at youtube.com/Diabloherald or Twitch TV/Diabloherald. You can get me on Twitter if you have any questions. Please tweet me at Diabloherald or email diabloherald@gmail.com. Highlander has a YouTube channel. What's a YouTube channel about?
Highlander does. It's about achievements in principle, but just anything Diablo that's cool that I think is worth making a video about, I'll make a video. That doesn't happen that often, so don't expect spam from me. It's going to be a big deal if I'm able to make a video. So I'm working on another one now that should be out soon, hopefully.
Cool.
And otherwise, follow me on Twitter at HighlanderSC, because a lot of things don't make video status, but are nonetheless cool.
Yep. And ZiggyD.
140 characters I can do.
ZiggyD does stuff on the internet too. Want to tell us about that?
I do many things on the internet for a long time every day. You can catch me on Twitter and YouTube at ZiggyD StarCraft, and I do guides and hardcore gameplay on YouTube and lots of game musings on Twitter, so check those out.
Cool. Alright, well, that's all again. Once again, I am Fuego, and thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.
See ya.